Hi, I'm Francis Hellier, and welcome to my podcast, Metaverse. Dedicated to the emerging world of the Metaverse, this podcast aims to demystify and unpack the possibilities of the digital future just dawning over the horizon. In each episode, I talk to leaders in this growing space who are forging this new reality, from innovators in AR and VR to futurists in crypto and space travel and forecasters in business and tech. Together we'll ask the question, what's next? Today I'm joined by Miriam Feiler, founder of Max Volume. Founded in 2021, Max Volume is a content company that produces both virtual and physical creative works in video, word, music, and art, offering a global community for small business owners and entrepreneurs building their future in the metaverse. Miriam is the host of the Metaverse with Ms. podcast, which provides short and snappy lessons on all things metaverse. And I do encourage you to listen to it, inspired by her own experiences. From her NFT project, New Day Tomorrow. She's also the founder of Women in the Metaverse, a community project to map the Web3 and Metaverse ecosystem to celebrate women creators, founders, investors, and evangelists. Miriam, Ms., thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me on the show, Francis. Wonderful to be here.
So take us back to the very beginning. What was your inspiration behind Max Volume? And can you walk us through the founding journey?
Absolutely. So I am Australian and I'm based up in Singapore and I've been here for 10 years. What brought me up to Singapore was actually my husband's job. We relocated to Singapore, but I had spent the previous about 10 to 15 years in international trade, in small business support. And so that was my journey. So really for the better part of 20 years, I've been a small business facilitator and community builder. Now, everything that has really strung the ventures that I've had together has been collaboration. So the ventures that I had built were around teaching small business owners and entrepreneurs in Australia, primarily how to grow an international trade business. So how to become importers and exporters and expand globally. And when I came up to Singapore, I actually sold the business that I had started in Australia, which was a trade show called the Import-Export Show. And I decided to embark on something that was going to be purely online because my show was a physical show. And I thought, well, now that I've relocated once, I may, need to relocate again. So the best type of business to have would be an online business. And so I started to get involved in understanding entrepreneurship and the startup space actually a lot more intimately, and grew a startup entrepreneurial support organization called Startup Australia, which we were running. I was running from Singapore with partners in Australia and commuting backwards and forwards. And, shortly after we became permanent residents here in Singapore, it was time to lay down some roots. And what I really wanted to go back to was my small business support. I love the energy of micro and small business owners, the energy that they have, the excitement, about their journeys, but also they're the most needy of all the business owners because they have very few resources. And when I looked at the journey that I had had pretty much as a solopreneur growing my business, was that the way I grew my business was through collaboration. So what I would do as a solopreneur is find other micro businesses, and together we would come together to create ventures. So the venture that I created with the Import-Export Show was actually a collaborative effort. So to the outside world, we looked big and we were working with government, all the government departments, but behind the scenes, we were all kind of individual players that had come together to create this. So I knew that there was something in this concept of collaboration. And so that has really been the core of everything that I have done in my businesses, since that time. And I decided to build, I formed a partnership that didn't work. So it ended in February of 2021, but for 4 years, we built a platform. So it was a startup. It was a tech platform, which was a collaboration platform for micro and small business owners. And I had seen blockchain, I guess, from the side, because I had a lot of friends involved in building blockchain. I had friends in the crypto, early days of crypto investing, and I could kind of see it happening at the side of what we were doing. But what we were building was very much a traditional platform, like a LinkedIn, for micro and small business collaboration. And the idea was that we would teach the businesses how to collaborate, and we would facilitate that collaboration on the platform. Now, sadly, it didn't work out. But what you've got to take those moments away. And what I realized is that we were super kind of close to where we needed to be as soon as I became aware of what was happening with the developments in blockchain, in Web3, with DAOs as kind of collaborative ways to coordinate people and organize around a vision. So in February of 2021, the partnership with my business partner dissolved. But what we had grown was a community of 10,000 micro and small business owners from Asia Pacific, so from Australia, Southeast Asia, India, and Nigeria. Beautiful community of 3,000 entrepreneurs in Nigeria. And so it was very global. And 2021 for me was this incredible awakening of understanding NFTs, seeing what was happening around community building, and starting to get my head around what I could do with this community that I had as, I guess, a vestige of the startup that didn't work. So I pivoted to Max Volume. And Max is a brand that I have existing. So when I turned 40, as a bit of a side story, when I turned 40, I decided to have a 10-year or decade-long, vision for my 40s. And I decided to live my 40s to the max. So Max was part of it. And I thought, well, Max Volume is this wonderful idea of a brand where you're cranking up the volume on your life and your business. And what I've decided now is to take all my community on this journey now with me into the metaverse and all that entails.
Ms., how did you first get involved in the NFT space, for example? And was there a sort of eureka moment where you just thought, this is the future and this is what I need to concentrate my time on?
Absolutely. There were a couple of eureka moments. It's a wonderful story. So I got involved with Clubhouse in the early days, kind of December, around November, December, Clubhouse started to kind of come into Asia. But all the calls were mainly being done out of the US. And they were on NFTs. If anyone had, been listening to Clubhouse November, December, January into 2021, it was all around NFTs. So it piqued my interest, but it wasn't really until Gary Vaynerchuk launched his VFriends that I suddenly paid attention. And the reason was because I'd been following Gary V for years, because we're both community builders, for small businesses and entrepreneurs. So I followed really everything he said, especially around social media and digital marketing. And when he said he was launching this new NFT project around community, I paid attention. I paid attention for two reasons. Firstly, he said it was built around community. So that was already something that piqued my interest. But he also launched it or announced it on my birthday, which was last week, the 5th of the 5th of last year. He loves the number 5. So he launched it on the 5th of the 5th. And I thought, okay, the universe has decided that I need to be part of VFriends. I had never opened a wallet. I didn't have crypto. I was one of those people that was totally new to it. And so I headed off following the instructions to set up my wallet and to fill it with crypto. And the NFT that I wanted to buy was the Bullish Bull, because I'm a Taurian. I thought, that's the one I'm going to get. I head over, and at that moment of purchasing crypto for the first time, my Ethereum for the MetaMask wallet, my credit card was hacked. And the transaction didn't go through. And that freaked me out. You can imagine I'm just coming off losing a business. I put a lot of faith, and I was thinking, okay, I probably can't afford this, but I'm gonna do it. And then suddenly my credit card gets hacked. And thankfully the money was returned by the bank. It was fine. But for me, that was the moment. That was a eureka moment where I actually decided not to do anything more to do with NFTs and crypto as an investor or as part of a community. And I was licking my wounds. I'm like, maybe it's not meant to be. However, I had spent 2020 quite creative during lockdown, and I'd started to write a novel. And for my 40 to the max community. So it was going to be like this women's rom-com, kind of Crazy Rich Asians, but for expat type novel. And one of the things I wanted to do was turn it into an audio novel so I could present it in podcast form, like a serial. And I wanted to have a soundtrack. So I decided I was going to write songs. So I started to write songs, and I reached out to a friend of mine who is a very well-known Australian singer-songwriter. And he agreed to teach me how to write songs and sit with me. And we did some lessons, and we wrote 3 songs. We wrote New Day Tomorrow. We wrote Dance the Dark Away. And we've written a 3rd one, which we actually entered into the Eurovision Song Contest. It didn't get through, but it's a banger of a tune, and it will be released. And I was in charge of putting the video clips together for the songs. And Dance the Dark Away got released first as kind of like a comic animation that I literally, found someone on Fiverr and directed it, and it was wonderful. But when it came to New Day Tomorrow, it was so moving. It's a song that moves you from kind of desolation to hope and darkness to light. And I wanted something special. So I went on to Instagram, and I found a digital animator called Digital Ridge in the UK. And I contacted him, and he created the most magnificent video clip for New Day Tomorrow. And the first thing I thought when I saw it, because it was in quite distinct scenes, was we could NFT this. And so I went to my partner and I'm like, we should NFT this. He didn't know what I was talking about. He said, but I have friends who know what to do. And he introduced me to his friends who are Future Art. So Sats Moon, who's probably one of Australia's top NFT private collectors, and his partner, Dave. And they have they had set up that year of January of 2021, a business to support emerging artists in the NFT space and bring them to light, almost like a gallery broker, promoter, that kind of a business. And they were doing exceedingly well. And we showed them the video clip, and they loved it. And they said, yeah, we'll show you what to do. 2 weeks later, they came back and said to us, we've got a surprise for you. We actually have approached VFriends to become a partner of theirs. And sure enough, I don't know if you recall, but Gary Vee had done 4 partnerships middle of last year, and they were the 4th one. And their project was actually given as the first drop to the gift goats. And it was called the All Access Art Pass. And our project, New Day Tomorrow, was chosen to be the first drop for the gift goats.
Now, did you expect to do any more NFT ranges as well? I mean, is this something you're going to continue to do?
Very much. So what we did was, so the premise of New Day Tomorrow was that we collected memories from members of the community. And the text of that memory we put through an AI algorithm, which generated 999 unique artworks. So they went on OpenSea as well, and half of them were acquired, which was a great start for us as a first-time artist. And in a couple of weeks, we're actually going back to Sydney with Future Art. Future Art are running Future Art is Vivid. It's 24 artists in a lineup for the opening of the Vivid Sydney Immersive Festival. So we'll be doing that. We're also going to be moving now into music NFTs and collaborating with other artists to expand on this idea of memory and the metaverse. And yes, so, it's been a whirlwind 6 months, really, since the start of the year, since December when we launched it. I think for anyone who has been in this space, in a very short amount of time, you can develop your knowledge and get this network. And, collaboration is at the core of everything in this space, people working together, connecting each other. And what I love about it is because everybody's learning, everyone from, your top influencers and entrepreneurs, down and around the world, no one's afraid to contact anybody, and everybody's listening and everybody's receptive. So, I've been contacted by some incredible people to collaborate. And so, I'm working on a really incredible concept for an art project that hopefully will start to flourish as we have more conversations in the next few weeks.
Is that what it is? The community the thing that excites you most about the metaverse, or is there something else about the metaverse and Web3 that kind of really drives you forward? What do you think about the metaverse in terms of the things that basically get you out of bed in the morning and excite you about what the potential?
Yeah, look, my core values have always been collaboration, community, and creativity. So I can't believe that there is now a space where all that comes together and it's respected and it's super dynamic and exciting. And it's limitless. I mean, whatever your imagination can come up with, we now have this convergence of technologies, that is forming the metaverse experience. So we can take anything, a song and art merges with a virtual experience merges with community, and your fans and your followers are able to kind of immerse themselves in whatever you create and feel part of it. What's exciting me next is actually DAOs, the decentralized autonomous organizations. So this structure on the blockchain that enables organizations to form in a decentralized way to bring people together around a common goal. And so I'm now exploring turning Max Volume into a DAO and enabling and empowering my community members to actually come on this journey as co-creators and seeing if the vision that we had for the original platform can now really be realized, because we have a financial model to, get a treasury, self-fund, and start to create products, creative projects together and be, creatively satisfied and hopefully financially rewarded as well. So there is so much that it's exciting me. Every day is a new day. New companies are coming up, new ideas, new concepts, and everyone's just pushing the tech to, in pursuit of this creativity. And that's what I'm most excited about.
Now, I love the idea behind your podcast. How did you become so in the know about the space? And what sort of tools and resources would you recommend to our listeners wanting to learn more?
So I've always had a simple philosophy when it comes to my own education, that I think I really need to do it first. I need to kind of learn about it, action it, and then teach it. So every time I've learned something in my career, I felt that I needed to immediately give it back. And, part of that, comes from me, maybe not having the mentors that I needed growing up, and being in a position to mentor others and guide others. Education is key to everything in this space. We're all learning every day. It's a whole new it's a massive paradigm shift. It's a whole new exploration. I think what has happened, if anyone has gone through the process of starting their own collection and figuring that out, or starting to collect NFTs and figuring that out, for me, I felt that I now needed to give that education back. And everybody's busy. And I thought 5 minutes is the perfect length of time to just give people these little quick summaries, thematic, to walk them through the beginning of blockchain, the beginning of Bitcoin, and taking them all the way through into what's happening in 16 episodes that just give them a little bit of a snapshot, a basis, a foundation for them to explore more.
It's a noble Anyway, this is what we're trying to do, with our podcast here is just help guide people on this journey we're all sort of taking. And I think, touching on your earlier point about creativity, every single conversation, without fail, and I touch on this every single episode, every single conversation becomes about creativity. It's not necessarily about technology. It's about what we can create using the technology that's been built today, which is a very different thing to how the internet sort of has ended up. Let me talk about your project, Women in the Metaverse, because I think going back again to technology, it's historically been very male dominated. So do you think that there will be more women creating products in the metaverse and being creative in the metaverse?
I really hope so. If we look at what's happened across, the last 15 years of Web 2, what we've been left with has left us with a bit of a bitter taste in our mouths. We've seen certain individuals become billionaires and are pretty much controlling the way we interact online. And I think the appetite for that has been lost. We know what they do with our data because they're using it to, sell advertising back to us. And we're in a loop. We're in this kind of loop that we can't get out of. And we're seeing wealth being generated at such extreme levels, that you can have Elon Musk just drop $43 billion to buy Twitter. And then you look at the state of the planet and you go, wow, that's a lot of money that could have gone to a lot more noble causes. And I think for women, when you look at the woeful statistics of 2% of female, only 2% of venture funds go to female-founded startups. When you look at the much lower uptake of like 15% of women in this kind of crypto space, 5% that are kind of monetized compared to 95% of male projects or, male team projects. You look at these boys clubs just continuing. When you look at Bored Apes and you look at CryptoPunks and you look at the way they're just able to make these hundreds of millions of dollars. And we look at it as women, we go, are we going to repeat the same mistakes where the same wealthy people get to be wealthy in this new space? And it's not acceptable. We need to redress the gender imbalance, and it's not even it's gender, and then it's also where you are in the world. If you're from an emerging nation, you're going to get left behind as well. So I hope to see more women involved. The background behind Metaverse of Women was really around International Women's Month this month, and I was thinking, what can I contribute as a community builder? Looking at a lot of really wonderful women's projects coming up, but they're far and few between. And when you go into Twitter spaces and you go into these women's Twitter spaces of the projects, it's the same women kind of supporting each other. It's a handful of projects, maybe 100 of all the projects in the world that are women run. And it makes no sense because for me as a woman, I think we are naturally great at collaborating, at creativity, at coming together. It takes a village, and this Web3 will take a village. And so I'm really hoping that by putting a spotlight on women's projects and trying to track the uptake by, in a comparative way, so looking at kind of data intelligence over time, we can start to see if, yes, more women are getting involved in the metaverse in all areas of Web3 and the metaverse, from, programming and coding all the way up to, consulting and founding projects. So I think it's a really important part of what I'm doing. And I'm just, I would hope that, in 5 years, we can show that, yes, we have redressed that balance and women are not 5%, they're not 2%. We're up at 50%, which is what it should be.
Absolutely. Now, what are your predictions, Ms., for the metaverse over the next decade?
Decade.
No pressure there. No pressure.
No pressure there.
Yeah. Look at your crystal ball and let us know, what do you think is going to happen?
I see something really interesting. So I have kids who are teenagers. And if I look at who's creating the metaverse at the moment, it's kind of older millennials all the way up to kind of my generation, kind of mid-40s. And we are the generation that grew up with sci-fi and, you know, the Doctor Who and all the movies, the Star Wars movies. So for us, this idea of being in these virtual realms is fantastical and exciting. It's almost like something we've always wanted.
It's the holosuite, isn't it, really? We're living in the holosuite.
And it's interesting because when I talk to my kids about it, they're like, but why would you want to spend time in there when you could be in real life? You know, so I'm worried that the people creating it are creating it for us. It's very self-indulgent. And possibly the younger generation who are actually, and deservedly so, highly concerned about the state of the environment, equality, their financial futures, AI and the impact it will have on jobs, may not actually accept what we're creating. So I'm just seeing a bit of pushback from my kids' generation and wondering if they will care enough to spend time. I think for corporates, it makes sense. Like, I love the idea of, you know, having these experiences where you can seamlessly come in and out in a corporate environment, in your office, maybe conferences and those kind of things where you can interact. I think on a corporate level, this idea of immersion, education, it might be good, you know, experiencing, having experiential in the classroom around, you know, exploring landscapes or exploring, you know, planets and making that come alive, but wanting to actually socialize more full time, at the moment tethered to those ginormous glasses to your screen. But, you know, my dad had that giant phone in his car and, you know, we've got a tiny phone. So, you know, in 10 years' time, you know, we could all be microchipped. Like I don't know. It's going to be really interesting. I think it will go through many iterations. I hope that we don't see the major current players in Web 2 swallow Web 3. And that we do have a democratization of the internet and that promise is fulfilled and more people have a chance to experience interacting with friends and colleagues with more variety and can choose where they want to spend their time and not have that be dictated. But I think there will be, you know, there'll be a crash and there'll be a rebirth. And 10 years, I can't even, you know, in 10 years, if everything is tracking as it does with global warming, we'd be lucky to care whether we're going into a virtual environment if everything's burning around us, to be quite honest.
Right. Let's look forward in a slightly, somewhat more positive way. What's next?
I'm an optimist.
I know, right? I wish I hadn't asked now. No, I'm joking. So what's next for you, Ms?
Very much. I'm exploring DAOs at the moment. I think it's highly likely that Max Volume will become a DAO, and I'll probably be spending the rest of the year developing that and activating the DAO. I also have an incredible concept that I'm working on with partners for a whole new Metaverse exhibition art project that I would like. That's going to happen. So that's super exciting. And part of my DAO is actually to purchase a villa in Italy that will become the headquarters of the DAO. They'll become like a co-working space, a headquarters, a boutique hotel. So really, I'm hoping by next year, you know, you can come visit me in our Max Volume headquarters in Tuscany. And,
so you heard it here first. With Ms. in Tuscany this time next year. Anyway, so you've been listening to Metaverse with me, Francis Hellier. Thank you so much to my guest, Miriam Feiler, for a great conversation. Thank you for listening in. Tweet us at Metaverse Pod with any suggestions or feedback. And if you enjoyed the podcast, please do share a link on social media. You can sign up to receive an email when a new episode drops at our website, metaverse.fm.